Welcome back to Metal Band's Chronicles, here on this Sunday, April 26th, 2020. And you know what, I saw this posted on Facebook yesterday, and I felt like, I needed to do a video on this. And it's one of my all-time favorite albums. I kind of feel bad that I don't own it no more. I need to get it again. I saw it was just recently reissued. I'm talking about the 1980 album released on April 25th, 1980. The ninth studio album, and the album that resurrected Black Sabbath. And I'm talking about Heaven and Hell. Heaven and Hell. Iconic heavy metal album. And like I said, it's definitely the resurgence of Black Sabbath on this album. You can definitely tell. Because, for the last couple albums, with Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die, the band was going through turmoil. They were having problems with their record label. The drugs and alcohol basically took its toll. Those two albums are very disjointed and all over the place. And Ozzy was in and out of the band. They actually brought in a guy named Dave Walker for a bit to take over for Ozzy, but Ozzy would come back. So yeah, it was pretty disjointed, and finally they fired Ozzy. I don't know, it must have been in late 79 or early 1980 they would have fired Ozzy Osbourne. Because, it's constant drug abuse and alcoholism. But anyways, so yeah, they bring in this new vocalist, from the band Elf and Rainbow, named Ronnie James Dio. And what an excellent, phenomenal replacement for Ozzy Osbourne. It definitely brought life back into Black Sabbath. The material on here is like miles stronger than the material on Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die. I mean, this right here is undoubtedly, in my top 5 list for being the greatest Black Sabbath album. It's just such a phenomenal album. And Dio's voice on here is just amazing. Tony Iommi's riffs on here are spectacular, man. I'm telling you, some of the best riffs he's written, some of the best lead playing he's done on an album too. So the album opens up with Neon Nights. Phenomenal track. It's a fast-paced track. And this right here just symbolizes that Black Sabbath is back better than ever. With this track and this new vocalist. Because Ronnie James Dio does a spectacular job. Tony Iommi plays a phenomenal melodic guitar solo in this song. It's just amazing stuff. A very strong opener to this iconic album. So then we go into the more melodic Children of the Sea, which supposedly there's a version with Ozzy on it somewhere. I've never seen it, I've never heard it, it's not on YouTube, but there is a demo version out there with Ozzy Osbourne singing on it, which I can't imagine it being near as good as what Dio does on this track, because Dio just adds so much magic to this track. It's definitely majestic sounding, it's pretty dark sounding too, for the most part, but just very majestic, man. A beautiful track, an amazing track, great melodic guitar work by Iommi again, great stuff. So then we go into a deeper cut on here, Lady Evil. A bit more rocking, kind of has I guess it's kind of a predecessor to what you would hear on Dio's solo albums, maybe a little bit, and it's more rocking, It's a pretty darn good song though, I really enjoy it, And that's pretty much all I'm going to say about Lady Evil. So then we go into the epic of the album, the self-titled track, Heaven or Hell. What a phenomenal track this is. Big guitar riffs. I mean, that guitar riff, you can just hum it for hours and hours and days and nights. Because once you hear it, you don't forget it. It's definitely a memorable guitar riff, Dio's vocals are top notch here. You get some excellent guitar solos from Tony Iommi on this track. You know, I think the thing I should mention too, you get great bass playing too by Geezer Butler here. He got some really good bass tracks on this track in my opinion. But yeah, lineup wise, I didn't talk about the lineup. We got obviously Ronnie James Dio coming in to do vocals, Tony Iommi still there on guitar, the main man of Black Sabbath. You got Geezer Butler on bass, Bill Ward supposedly on drums. Now there's rumors that Bill Ward didn't even play on this album. I don't know how accurate that is. There's not much information out there regarding that. You know, it's just basically rumors. I mean, Bill Ward was going through a lot of stuff at the time. He was really bad into alcoholism at this time. And shortly after this album came out, he would leave the band. And they would get Vinny Appice. Now, there's rumors Vinny Appice does play drums on here. But then again, I don't know. Until there's actual proof, you know, proven that it's Vinny Appice on drums, you know, I'm just going to stick with that, you know, Bill Ward's the one doing the drumming on this album. So anyways, we flipped the album over, you know, to the second half. So we got Wishing Well. Wishing Well to basically open up the second half of this album. Again, another deep cut. I think it's a very underrated Black Sabbath track myself. I think it's really good. I think it's well done. It's got a good melodic type of bridge in it too, you know. Again though, phenomenal vocals by Dio. The song, I guess, is a little more uplifting compared to the other tracks on this album. But that doesn't hurt it at all. I think it's still a phenomenal track. You know, it's a very underrated track in my humble opinion. So then we go into Die Young, which I believe Die Young, if I remember hearing this correctly, this would have been the last track written for the album. You know, it's fast-paced, but it's also atmospheric. I mean, Jeff Nichols does phenomenal keyboard work on this track. You know, it's atmospheric and it's fast, you know. Again, great vocals by Ronnie James Dio, great guitar playing by, you know, Tony Iommi, and Jeff Nichols really adds in that atmosphere of those keyboard parts to make it really majestic sounding, you know. So then we go into Walk Away. Okay, Walk Away kind of has more of that, to me, Walk Away kind of has more of that rainbow type of vibe going on. It does kind of remind me more of a rainbow track. I will admit, I think it's the weakest track off this album, but that's not taken away at all. It's still phenomenal, you know, for what it is. Yeah, like I said, it's not the best track on this album. It's the only track that, yeah, it seems kind of out of place on this album, but it's still decent enough to be on the album. It doesn't hurt it at all. So I don't think it's a bad track at all. But anyways, then we move on to the album closer, Lonely is the World. What an epic track. Epic, epic track. To me, I think Lonely is the World has some of Tony Iommi's best guitar solos. The solos, you know, the solos leading into the outro of this track is phenomenal. Just great stuff. Again, a great riff by Iommi too. You know, it's more slower, melodic, very bluesy sounding when he gets into the solos. Great vocals by Ronnie James Dio. What more can be said? It's majestic, it's just iconic. Anyways, that's basically my review of Black Sabbath's Heaven and Hell. Happy 40th birthday to this iconic, great album. And to me, this album definitely gets a 10 out of 10. Despite the fact that I did say, you know, Walk Away is kind of weak, but it's still a good track. It is, it's a 10 out of 10. It's a perfect album besides that, you know. But yeah, that's my review of Heaven and Hell. Happy 40th birthday Rest in peace to Ronnie James Dio, and keep it metal.